To today's web conference. This is What's New in SOF April 2017 edition. We are broadcasting this web conference by Skype meeting broadcast, and the audio can be heard through your PC speakers. Today's web conference has been recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. If you do not consent to being part of a recorded session, we ask that you please disconnect your browser at this time. Attendees may access the web conference recording via a link that will be delivered within 24 hours post-conference. You may ask a question at any time using the Q&A panel located either to the right of your screen or by scrolling down to just below the video pane. We have presenters standing by to answer your questions throughout the presentation and then, time permitting, at the end of the presentation. If you experience any technical difficulties during today's web conference, first try refreshing your web browser by pressing the F5 key. If that doesn't work for you, you'll want to go ahead and click on the support link at the right top corner of your browser. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Principal Customer Engineering Architect, Lester Hewitt. Lester, over to you.
Thank you very much. So welcome, everybody. In this April 2017 session, I'll be providing an overview of the Skype Operations Framework Successful Engagement Release. I wanted to start by sharing that this session covers what's new in SOF since we recorded the January overview session, and there's a delta to the last recording. If you've not seen the original SOF recording, then we recommend you do take some time to watch that, as there is some more information about SOF internals in that session. As part of this release, we're also publishing a recording of the SOF outcomes presentation. That's also a great place to start to learn about SOF all up. So, as introduced, my name is Lester Hewitt. I'm a Principal Customer Engineering Architect and one of the authors of SOF, as well as the overall coordinator. So our team is part of the Skype for Business product group, and one of our goals is enabling organizations of any size to successfully deliver the Skype for Business online cloud service. And we do that by providing best-in-class readiness and deployment services. And SOF, or Skype Operations Framework, is one of the initiatives that we created to help meet these goals. The overview training for today has been created to meet the following key learnings. So we wanted to share with you how customer success stories share how others have succeeded with Skype for Business, looking at deploying the online workloads. Key learning takeaways around our Planning for Customer Success workshop that really drives your success by working with you and surfacing key considerations early in the project. So really thinking about what do you need to be successful with a Skype for Business online project. We then cover some of the new updates SOF that have been added to cover the new voice features like Cloud PBX, our organization auto attendance and call queues, a few other areas. And finally, we're going to cover some SOF simplification. So taking the feedback that you've provided to us over the past few months, looking at some of our plan assets and looking at how we have consolidated those to make it easier for you to use SOF. Today's agenda, we're going to cover off a quick overview of SOF, just as a bootstrap for those people that this may be the first time they're coming to one of these sessions. We are going to talk about what is in the SOF Successful Outcomes Engagement Release. And we'll finish off by talking about where to access these materials. And then the last part of the session is really an opportunity to think about what's coming next, and also for Q&A. As we said at the beginning of the session, please send us your questions as we go through the session. If you're watching the recorded session, please use the feedback links we share later in the deck. But if you can give us your questions as we go through today's session, then we will work on answering those towards the end of the session. So let's just start with a quick overview of the Skype Operations Framework, just over 2 slides, and then we'll get into the what's new piece. So we believe that your business outcomes related to this engagement, when you look at a Skype for Business online project, are realized when your teams use Skype for Business and incorporate communications into their business processes, enhancing those processes as they go. So it's key to understand that quality underpins usage. If you deliver a quality service that delights people, then teams gain confidence and find new innovative ways of doing things that drive business benefits. The capabilities of Skype for Business range across group collaboration, conferencing, fixed and mobile telephony capabilities, as well as video and screen sharing. Users of various legacy offerings in these areas expect always available, highly resilient and highly reliable experiences. As such, it's critical to treat Skype for Business as a first-class citizen with other communication and collaboration investments, prioritizing real-time traffic on a peer level with voice, conferencing and other collaboration tools. By taking these steps proactively, as described throughout SOF, IT and end-user support teams will minimize user disruptions due to non-optimal configurations that can be avoided. Now, Skype for Business Online is a real-time service, and there is more to do to achieve quality than just switch it on, but we do provide the guidance for you to achieve that quality. So it's key to understand that when planning to consume a real-time cloud service, there are activities and outcomes that your project needs to take care of, related to things like preparation and setting up your environment correctly to deliver quality, whether that's spending time to get the network and internet access set up right, or whether it's to do with making sure the right latest clients are being deployed. So adoption and user satisfaction are key things, and thinking about how to create strong, robust communications so your teams understand why this technology change is being made and what's in it for them to drive the desire to change and adopt this new platform. And lastly, ongoing management to ensure that quality and reliability and user satisfaction are being measured and are being delivered, and that any issues introduced by your environment are rapidly detected and remediated. So some activities and outcomes are common across cloud services, syncing directories, enabling users, enabling licenses, and some are unique to real-time communications such as Skype for Business Online. So we created the Skype Operations Framework to help you drive success and quality with Skype for Business Online. It's created for customers and partners, and created it as part of the Skype for Business product, and hopefully answer some of the key questions that you may be pondering. So our experience has shown that following a framework that encompasses planning, delivering, and operating to execute and maintain any real-time system drives up quality and reliability, whilst driving user adoption and user satisfaction. So with the Skype Operations Framework, we are providing the practical guidance that covers what to do to achieve quality and reliability, and the methodology and the ordering to undertake those key activities. We provide assets for you to use and the associated training to become confident in using those assets. To dig into more details around this, we would recommend that you review the SOF outcomes recording, which is available on the SOF site, and we'll share the links as we go through the session. So let's start to dig into what's new in this release. And we'll start really by summarizing the successful engagement components and the three main themes that we're running through this. So we focus on the theme of successful engagements for customers and partners. So we start really in our customer success third on the left-hand side, sharing stories of overall customer success for Skype for Business using online and real-time workloads. And we also have launching as part of this release a brand new workshop to help customers and partners plan for success as a first step in their journey. And we'll get into cover both of those in a little bit more detail as we go through. We've added a number of updates to the voice areas of this related to tenant dial plans, auto attenders and call queues, as well as providing guidance around number porting. And we've also extended our ever popular CQT video series with 2 additional videos and providing an update to our manager quality and reliable service playbook, which we've got a lot of very positive feedback on to help people really drive towards quality and reliability. Then we spent a bit of time around simplification. So one of the things that you'll notice, hopefully, if you're looking at the site as we're talking, is a nice new, very fresh look and feel to the SOF site. And we basically have consolidated some of the assets to reduce the number of assets and make it a bit easier to find your way through SOF. So let's start by looking at the SOF website updates themselves. So the first thing you'll notice if you go to our site, which is skypeoperationsframework.com, is a nice new look and feel, and that we've applied to the SOF website to make it easier to navigate and to get you to the materials that you need depending on your journey through Skype for Business. We encourage you to explore the new look and feel and the get deployed and cloud migration journeys. And you can see that what we've tried to do from the front page is be very clear around the key concepts and 3 phases of plan, deliver and operate to really explain how those come together to help you and drive success. And then we've got an updated Get Started page, which you can see on the right-hand side of the little diagram and screenshots we have here, really kind of taking you through and landing you on one of our 2 journeys, whether those are our Get Deployed journey for customers who are looking at the first time of deploying these technologies, or our cloud migration journey for those customers that are looking to migrate from an on-premises deployment. So I wanted to just have a little look further into our interactive guide. So we've done some work on the SOF interactive guide. I think we've made it easier to get to the interactive guide from our Get Started page. So we encourage you to explore these guides alongside the SOF outcomes deck. So the SOF outcomes deck, if you like, gives you the very high level map, and the workflows give you a little more detail into what goes on at every single step along the way. And these will help you to determine the best entry point for you based on your current project process. So in our interactive guide, as you can see on the screen in front of you, each tile is a step in your journey and shares the expected outcomes for that step and the associated activities and assets, which you can download directly from that tile. So we recommend that you explore this on a week-by-week basis and take the time to familiarize yourselves with the assets and how they can inform your project before moving on to the next week. In the past, we kind of provided access to everything all in one go, and for some people that's a lot of information to work with. So one lessons and feedback we've got is that by presenting it in more of a week-by-week basis, we can give a little bit more of a kind of easier to consume way of working through this. Now, what we're also able to do beyond this point is you can customize those workflows based on environment types. You can customize them for a single site, multiple site, or a multinational. But it's important to note that for the multi-site and multinational environment, the timelines are estimated, and those get you to the start of the repeatable site-by-site rollout. So the duration of the entire project will depend on the number of sites, project complexity, and the schedule that you set. What we're doing there is giving you an indication within the tiles of the duration of the activities and also potentially on which week they fall. And it's really there as an indication to inform you rather than saying it's a hard and fast rule. Now, a new area that's come into the site is the customer success stories on the right-hand side. You can just make it out with a little screenshot on the left-hand side. So, we encourage you to browse the new customer success stories page. Here you'll learn about how our customers reach success with Skype for Business Online, and really from small companies to large enterprises. Skype Operations Framework transforms the landscape of communications to better enable an organization's business outcomes. But don't take it just from us. Listen to what our customers and the media have to say on the subject. And what you'll find on there is you'll find customer testimonial videos and also some click-throughs, which you can dig into more detail. And there's some media sound bites and various other pieces on there, which we could find useful to give yourself an idea of how other organizations that may be of similar size and complexity to yourselves have succeeded with Skype for Business Online. So a great resource there to get you to understand a little bit about how other people have gone through their journeys. Now we move into a little change gear slightly and talk about the first of the new assets that we have brought into Skype Operations Framework, the Planning for Customer Success workshop. So we created this workshop to help our customers surface critical considerations early during Skype for Business planning. So really starting to think about the key areas that need to be discussed and need to be agreed very early into the cycle. We believe that this workshop accelerates and sustains customer success, because what we're really doing is considering showcasing business value rather than focusing only on the technology implementation. So this workshop is designed to be run at the start of the Skype for Business journey and helps customers and partners understand what it takes to be successful when starting the journey. So we introduce the 6 critical customer success considerations, which you can outline in the 6 points on the slide above. Discuss each of these, and then we move on to provide a simple to use self-assessment for you to gauge your readiness for success. And we don't just say do that at the beginning of the project. It's also a good idea to really gauge this on a kind of monthly basis, potentially, to see if there are any areas that might need a little tweak or a little bit of more attention. For any areas that are highlighted as a possible concern, we also provide actionable next steps and links to the relevant material on the SOF site. So the Planning for Customer Success workshop is something that we have put into our interactive guides that we talked about a couple of slides ago. It's actually the first tile in the journey to really make this front and center of something that we believe needs to be run very early in the journey that you're taking, to really make sure that you have understood what it takes to be successful and are planning for success from an early perspective inside the delivery. So really encourage you to download that new asset and familiarize yourself with it. One of the things that we have done with this is there's also associated training to explain how to use it, and there's also a set of focus point notes within the workshop to help you deliver this yourselves and drive this through with your internal stakeholders. We also have been keeping to our key theme, driving SOF. So one of the key driving themes of SOF is that we update SOF practical guidance based on what is required for planning and delivering and operating new features as we release them in the Skype for Business online service. So we continue to focus on updating existing assets and minimizing adding net new assets wherever we can. And you'll see some examples in the screenshots added. The main focus of these updates is on new voice features and quality tooling updates. So we've got 6 main areas that we've added practical guidance for around online tenant dial plans, helping you think about how to structure those, about cloud PBX auto attendant and call queues, so you can start to extend the ability of how people can reach and interact with you. Some great guidance around number porting, some guidance around Skype meeting broadcasts about the type of meeting you're experiencing now and how to set these up. And then also some guidance around our new CQD location enhanced reports. And we'll get into each of these a little bit more detail as we go through the session. Each of these have dedicated technical and soft training sessions, which are available on the SOF Academy. And each one will have its own blog launched over the coming weeks. So please keep an eye on our blogs on our communities. And please view the individual training sessions to learn how to use these new and updated assets and successfully incorporate these new features into your deliveries. So we're quite excited about some of the new things that have been provided here. We hope that you see that what we've done here is to list the updated assets that we have updated to encompass these new Cloud PBX updates and calling features. So making sure that basically that we are effectively updating the various components. So for one of the things that we've looked at is in the assess persona feature matrix. For those people that have used that persona analysis piece helps you to understand which groups of users are right and have the correct feature set to be moved to the cloud. So we've updated that feature matrix now that we have added auto attendance and call queues, so enabling more users to move to the cloud. So it's just an example of some of the updates that have gone in, some of these, and also effectively for some of the other information that we have included in this. So again, where we look at some of these new features, there are also some updates to things like the testing matrix. So we've now got some additional tests in there, and potentially also looking at some of the new scripts that go through that. So hopefully that's showing you, demonstrating our commitment to SOF assets as we release these new features. So I'd like you to download these assets and share feedback on your uses of these through our usual feedback channels. So notice the slide's just advanced. One of the other areas that we have added guidance to is something that we get quite a bit of feedback on and have a number of discussions when we meet with folks at various conferencing. It's around number porting. So we have added guidance related to number porting to this release of SOF to help you plan and execute your number porting pieces. So number porting is the term used for the migration of phone numbers from existing service provider to Skype for Business Online in countries where number porting is supported and PSTN calling is available. So this guidance shares key information such as there are SLAs to be aware of that need to be considered when you plan your site-by-site rollout. As we mentioned earlier, there is a dedicated training session available on this subject should you wish to focus on learning about this guidance. And for those people who have got number porting as part of their projects and have been working across a number of countries will realize, and some of the things that we're sharing here is that the sort of governance and the process may be slightly different from country to country. What we're doing here with this guidance is really trying to highlight to you the key things you need to think about to make sure that you understand that sometimes there's an SLA around certain of these things dependent on the categorizations, and this is something that you need to plan for on your site-by-site updates. So hopefully that guidance will help you to make sure that as you start to roll out PSTN calling on a site-by-site basis, you're aware of some of the lead times you need to work through to be able to drive a successful number porting. We've added guidance as well related to planning for and running Skype meeting broadcasts to help you deliver excellent large-scale meetings that delight your presenters and attendees. because it really is around thinking about the different roles that take part in the Skype meeting broadcast, such as the one you're currently attending. So to deliver this typically requires a number of roles working together to organize and produce the meeting. So we provide additional guidance related to upfront bandwidth estimations, and we inform you of the key roles and their tasks, and also potentially how to leverage some third-party hardware to add other modalities, such as screen sharing, into a broadcast. So you'll find the updates for Skype meeting broadcasts. They're in the client and device readiness workshop, the Make Meeting Matters business value scenario, and a lot of good data around usage is in the awareness campaign launch event planning. And then in the kickoff workshops and the network readiness pieces, you'll find additional information that helps you to plan for Skype meeting broadcast bandwidth. So this is an area where we hope that you'll find this guidance very useful and be able to emulate the type of experience that we are having now as we go through and use Skype meeting broadcast to deliver this session. We're also pleased to announce that we are adding 2 new core quality diagnostic videos. These are being added to the existing successful series of short and informative videos to cover additional location enhanced reports. So location enhanced reports allow you to leverage all of the skills that we have shipped in the existing 5 CQD videos, but now been able to use the additional component of location. So really getting a very good handle around your buildings and subnets and assets to understand the type of quality that users are getting. So these are the same sort of format as the previous set of videos, so allowing you to take control with a core quality dashboard. You can look at the link across the top, http://aka.ms/SOF-CQD. That will take you to a link that allows you to have access to all of the videos that we've created. We recommend that you follow them through in order, and we've added 2 new ones, which are as an introduction to location enhanced reports to get you to understand a little bit more about what they're about and when you might use them, and also the deep dive to location enhanced reports, really to get into a lot more detail around using these for troubleshooting and diagnostics. So we really hope that you enjoy consuming these. We've got a lot of good feedback from the initial set, which we launched in January, and we continue to add new capabilities to Core Quality Dashboard. We'll continue to add more of these snackable 10 to 15 minute videos that you hopefully will find useful and help you to drive through with quality and reliability. We'll also be updating the popular Manage a Quality and Reliable Service Deployment Playbook. And we're adding with this, we're incorporating lessons learned from working on media quality over Wi-Fi networks, as well as experience gained in the field from using this key asset. So this is a very popular asset. We've got a lot of people downloading this and using this. And what this asset helps people to do is basically to really get a good handle on understanding what is required to manage their environment and really take the focus of quality and reliability and understanding how to use the key tools, how often to use them, and really providing a nice playbook to bring all this together in one place. As I said, this has been updated with Wi-Fi based media and also lessons learned from the field based on feedback from customers and from partners and from our own team out there who work with customers on a kind of day-to-day basis. So looking forward to getting your feedback on that update as we go through. That will be launched, it could be in the next couple of hours from the recording actually, once we finish this. So it's not there just yet, but it'll be there very, very soon on the 4th of April. Now, we do continually strive to make it easier for customers and partners to leverage soft methodology, assets and tools in their projects. And as part of this set of simplification work, we really looked at executing on feedback we've received regarding the plan phase of SOF. So we had feedback from a number of partners and customers. They preferred to have a single design document to put all of the main design considerations in one place. So we took a strong, hard look at the assets that we have, and starting on the right-hand side, we basically took our 3 key assets around design, which is the Cloud PBX design document, the migration and coexistence document, and the client design document. And we have consolidated them into one new design document called the Cloud PBX, PSTN Conferencing Client Design and Migration Document. So it just trips off the tongue. The idea behind this really is to put all of those key decisions you need to document into one place. So we've been able to remove some content that was appearing in 2 or 3 different places, and also remove some content that's now maintained on other sources and be very clear to link to that. And the idea behind this is that no matter whether you're dealing with a brand new deployment or a cloud migration, you actually can reuse the same assets. You've become very familiar with it. So there's something that is very useful for our partners who may be working with a number of customers. And from our customers, it's reducing the confusion and making sure it's very clear about which asset to use. We've also taken the same approach with the 2 main design workshops. So we have brought together the Cloud PBX workshop and the migration workshop and delivered a single Cloud PBX PSTN conferencing design and migration workshop. And the idea behind this is, again, a single document. You make sure you've got the right version at the right time. And we've used some new symbols to outline which section to use depending on which journey you're on. And the final bit of consolidation we've done is we've looked at a number of our assets where there's an activity description and a delivery guide. And we've consolidated those into a single delivery guide. If you look in the network assessment piece, you'll see that there's a number of the sort of guidance documents that were separate materials. Those have now been consolidated into one delivery guide, make it a bit easier to use, reduce the number of assets you have to look after and manage, and hopefully give you something that you will find very useful to work through. We will work on more of these types of simplifications, a number of things that we're currently considering at the moment. And as ever, please feel free to download the new consolidated documents. We would love to get your feedback on those and to understand basically whether this is something that you feel there's value in, and we can take forward as we go through our next iterations of the Skype Operations Framework. So, a couple of things that we want to make sure that you're fully aware of is that as part of the as part of the SOF successful engagement release, what we decided to do this time is actually to release all of the training pretty much at the same time. So the time that you're now listening to this broadcast on the kind of Tuesday morning, the SOF simplification, the outcomes deck, and all of the various trainings that we've talked about in this class are now all available. There's the links underneath here, or you can actually get them from the SOF site, skypeoperationsframework.com. Click on the Academy link. And here you'll be able to access training, and typically a training runs from sort of 15 to 25 minutes. So we've tried to basically make this quite snackable, something that you can access and listen to and help you get up to speed on some of the new things that we've gone through. So simplification is really talking, as we said before, around some of the assets that we've consolidated, giving you a little view of what was there before, what was there now, and how to use some of those. Our SOF outcomes deck training is a great place to start if after this session you'd like to find out just a little bit more about SOF, like to understand how the outcomes come about and potentially how those outcomes can help you drive towards quality and reliability with user satisfaction. Then from a technical perspective, we have SOF training on how to use the new assets for auto attendant and call queues, tenant dial plans and reporting, and some good information around Skype meeting broadcasts. And then last 2 second areas, we've got the videos for CQD, and then we've obviously got some training related to planning for customer success. So that deck we talked about earlier on in the session, which is all about helping to surface those key critical considerations early in the project so that you are ready and set yourselves up and your teams up for success. So as I said, those readiness trainings are available now. As of the 4th of April, and we would love you to be able to access them, consume them, and provide feedback, as hopefully they will make it easier for you to use the assets that we have published. So where do you go to get the SOF materials, I hear you ask? Well, the answer's here at www.skypeoperationsframework.com. You'll be greeted by the hopefully now familiar front page. And we see the Skype Operations Framework logo on the top left-hand corner. For those of you that have been here before, we really have spent a bit of time looking to see how we can redesign the site to make it very a lot smoother to use and effectively put the things that you want right underneath your mouse or your hand or your click or your pointer, whatever you're going to use to access this. So one of the things that you'll see is that we have consolidated and tidied up the menus at the top. So we now have 4 main things that you can go and do, which is Get Started, which starts you on your journeys, Academy, which is where you can go to access technical training and SOF training, Engage Partners, which is where you'll see the partners basically and the offers that they have aligned to the Skype Operations Framework, and then Success Stories. So one of the places that's net new for the site, really encourage you to spend a bit of time in Success Stories, have a read up of how other organizations that maybe in similar markets to yourselves or maybe in similar organizations to yourselves have basically deployed Skype for Business online and had success with that. We still have the troubleshooters and the downloads and the blogs and the communities. They're now appearing inside the little 3 kind of blue bars you can see in the top right-hand corner. So if you want to access our feedback or access our communities or go to the main download page, then they're in the top right-hand corner there. But as I said, one of the things that we kind of recommend people to do is when they start to work through the Skype Operations Framework is basically to be able to use the interactive guides and start to kind of take this on a week-by-week basis or a phase-by-phase basis to understand how those assets could be useful to them rather than trying to consume them all up in one go up in front. So hopefully you'll get spend a bit of time at our site for those people that are currently on the live piece. Hopefully you're looking at it now, starting to explore a little bit more. Again, we've kept Start Now, so for those people that want to jump straight into the interactive guide, Start Now allows you to answer some simple questions, and then we will try and work out the right starting point for you. And one of the things that we should see as we go forward in time is how we can do more of that type of tailoring. So we want to try and get you to the information that's most useful for you in the shortest number of clicks. And you'll see potentially a fair amount of work going on in that format over the coming sort of months as we go through. Okay, so SkypeOperationsFramework.com is the site. Love you to bookmark that. And whilst you're there, one of the things that would love you to do as well is you notice we've now added some surveys to the site, very simple single click-through surveys that just help us to understand how you rate and how you value the Skype Operations Framework. And we'll be seeing a little bit more of that and allowing a little bit more information and feedback. So again, if you haven't rated SkypeOperationsFramework.com, it'd be great to be able to use the little survey. It appears on the bottom right-hand corner of most of the pages. And then if there's any other feedback you'd like to provide, please use the feedback link in that menu in the top right-hand corner, and that'll take you straight to our feedback place, and you can provide feedback on the assets or the framework or whatever you want to. And we love hearing your feedback, and it helps us inform how we want to take things forward with Skype and Skype Operations Framework. So, what to expect going forwards? So one of the key tenets of the Skype Operations Framework is that it's a living, breathing framework. We build this on that sort of agile development methodology, if you like, and we focus on incremental releases continuously. So we typically, we all get together as people in this call on a kind of a quarterly basis and share the major updates that we have been producing. But you'll also find if we have been working on something that we think is very timely, like some of the scripts we released for Skype Room Systems a couple of months ago, we'll deliver those and basically get those out to you as soon as we possibly can, because we know people are waiting for that to help them with their own projects. So another driver behind SOF, as well as basically the development, is feedback. So as we said, hopefully you're starting to see some of the feedback we had around the assets and the way that the assets were held together in the plan phase. And we've been acting on that to look at reworking those assets to give you the single design document that a number of people are asking for. Also, from a point of view, SOF is driven by the Skype for Business product roadmap. So as new features and capabilities are released, we want to make sure that partners and customers are prepared to land them with the highest quality. So, we will be looking at, as new services come along, we'll be lining up behind those to deliver new SOF updates, things like analytics, simplification, call quality dashboard, and, potentially context-based SOF guidance. Understand a bit more about where you are as an organization and asking a few questions to give you a little bit more of a detailed connection directly into SOF. So those are some of the things to expect going forwards. Again, what we love to get hold of is your feedback. We love to read that. Again, at various events that we go to, it's good to meet directly with customers and partners, to have the opportunity to chat live. Obviously, we can't turn up at every single event. So any other areas where you want to provide feedback, if you do it through the SkypeOperationsFramework.com site and the feedback links, that would be very much appreciated. Would be fantastic. Again, one of the other areas, I should have put that forward. Okay, great. So one of the other areas that we like to talk about a little bit as well is about the SOF community. So the community is where we publish our blogs, and you can see the link to the blog pieces. So as we launch new assets and launch new updates or launch new insights, we publish those onto our blog sites, and our authors and our subject matter experts use that as a way of sharing sort of very much just-in-time information with you, and hopefully providing any new insights that they've gained through their work with customers and partners since writing and updating the assets. So it's a great place to go. The community is also a very vibrant place to go to start having discussions amongst yourselves as users of SOF, and to think about how people use this and some of the discussions they want to have over and beyond just sort of straight feedback. So feedback we get from the feedback channel, we really encourage you to discuss your use of SOF on the SOF community, and we love you to stay up to date by keeping connected to our blogs. That's a good indicator of when we're releasing new information. Typically, we also tend to state when we're going to be sharing releases and other training that comes from that as well. Okay, so I want to just recap on where we are from what we've covered over this 40 minutes we've been together before we move into the time for some Q&A. So if I just recap what we sort of covered during this session. So we have launched the Skype Successful Engagement release today, and thank you very much for coming to the launch session for this. And inside that Skype Successful Engagement release, we really have covered 4 main areas, which is the customer success stories on the site. So really sharing how customers of similar complexity, size and industry as yourselves have basically gone through and succeeded with Skype for Business, and looking at some of the learnings that they're sharing. So some nice videos and customer testimonials that you can read for yourselves and listen to. A place to pick up a few tidbits and things as well. We talked about the Planning for Customer Success workshop. That's really a workshop to be written, to be undertaken early in your deployment, and surfaces key considerations that you need to think about. So it talks about sponsorship, thinks about endpoints, around networking, around really thinking about user satisfaction, around how to measure user satisfaction to make sure that people are delighted users. If you remember the original conversation we started with, this is that quality and reliability lead to delighted users. Delighted users really drive business outcomes as they find new innovative ways of introducing these types of collaborative technologies into their current business processes. We've updated SOF to cover the new voice services that we talked about earlier on. So we talked about the dial plans, and we also talked about the call queues and auto attendance, and also added some more guidance around number porting, and have effectively also provided the updates for our call quality diagnostics and our playbooks. And finally, some of the simplification assets, the new look and feel to the site to make it easier to navigate, and also the new plan asset consolidation that we went through. So as a call to action, what I'd love you to do is to download and use the assets, provide feedback, and enjoy using them. We always like hearing from you. If we are at various events and bits and pieces in the future, always feel free to come up and talk. It's great to get feedback firsthand. It's great to get feedback through the website. It's great to get feedback per se. So please feel free to be sharing that with us. So I'm going to hand back to Janice and Holly now before we go into QA. And so if you hopefully have been sending in Q&A as we go through the session, now's the time that we can pause and to start to take some of that and hopefully answer some of your questions.
All right, thank you, Lester. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we start that Q&A that Lester mentioned, I'd like to bring your attention to a link in the upper right-hand corner of the viewing window. It says, please take a short survey. That's a link to a short survey for this web conference, and we ask that you please take a moment before logging out to access it. We hope that you found today's information helpful, and if you enjoyed today's web conference or have feedback on how we can provide you with a better event, this is your chance to let us know. The survey scores are on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score possible. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Lester to tackle the Q&A. Lester?
Thanks very much. So we have got some questions in, and whilst I'm going through these, again, please feel free to continue to send them, and we'll kind of process them and as we go through. So one of the questions I've got is there a web link for all of these guides and all of this great useful information? Absolutely. The best web link I can give you is https skypeoperationframework.com. So if you go to skypeoperationframework.com, that basically will take you to the front door of our SOF site. And as we said before, you can either access the guidance directly from the Get Started page, Or if you're after training or technical information, that's where Academy comes in. If you want to find out a bit more about partners and what they're doing in this space, that's Enable Partners. And if you want to read more about customer success stories, then that's the customer success piece. So I will just rewind the slides quickly just to make sure that we have got that on the screen, especially with those people that are taking some notes. It might be a bit easier to do that. So yeah, here's the URL for you, skypeoperationsframework.com. So I'll pause there for a couple of seconds for folks that want to take a screen grab, or I'm going to make some notes around that. But that's a great place to start. And from there, basically, pretty much you can access the interactive guide, you can take the overview, you can go on the journeys, look at the assets and tools, pick up training, partners, feedback, and so forth through there. So we've got another question coming in around, do you provide number porting guidance that's country specific? So that's a good question. I think one of the things that we've learned from working with our own customers is that number porting guidance is governed differently in each country. So we provided some general guidance to help you be aware of the SLAs to look for in your specific country of operation, to ensure that you include those in your plan. So rather than trying to write specific guides for every single country, we've tried to do it at a higher level to make you aware of the types of things that we've come across, and hopefully those you can then start to be aware of and put into your own plans as you work. So looking at another question just come in, have you updated the existing excellent CQT videos? Well, thank you very much for that feedback. So we have added 2 new videos to cover the new location enhanced reports. And you can now apply the knowledge you gain from the existing videos to using those location enhanced reports. So think about the 2 new videos as an extension and providing a little bit more feedback into how to use those location enhanced reports. But if you've not started or not looked through any of the videos, we suggest that you start at the beginning set of the videos and give you an introduction to core quality diagnostics and build on from there. And again, you can go at your own pace. The videos are typically sort of 10 to 15 minutes long. They're very snackable, and they're there basically to really help you get up to speed with using that tool. The other question we had come in, which is where do we download the Planning for Success workshop and when should we use it? Great call coming through. So you can download the workshop from 2 places. The first is the first tile in the new interactive guide, or the top of the download section. We recommend you use this workshop during the early phase of the project to surface critical considerations and set your team up for success. So it's basically something that you would get from that first tile of the interactive guide. Oh, someone's noticed some changes we've made to the site as well. So we had another question come in, which is on the website, where has the left side navigation bar gone? Ah, good. Somebody spotted through that one. When you navigate through our journeys and you get to the interactive guide, you'll notice that the navigation bar on the left-hand side has been collapsed by default to give a little bit more screen real estate to the interactive guide and make it easier to scroll through that. If you want to get the navigation menu back, if that's something you're used to using, there's a little blue pop out on the left hand side. Click that and that will open that up for you. So another question we have, is there a SOF light for SME organizations? So if we look on the interactive guide, there's an opportunity in there to tailor the SOF experience with sort of a single site organization. So an organization that maybe they just have one site that has their users on it, they've got an internet connection, off they go. So the outcomes, as we said in the outcomes deck, which I'm sure you can access after this, really are sort of consistent across customers of any size. What we're trying to do with the looking at being able to use a smaller single site is to tailor the amount of time and effort that's involved in doing this to organizations where maybe they are a single site and don't need quite as much effort involved as they go through to some of the larger organizations. So I think in the short answer then I would say to go to the interactive guide, click on the radio button that basically says single site environment, and you'll see that the durations all reduce and the overall project duration reduces. We will be looking as we go through with the Skype Operations Framework what additional context-based guidance we can provide for organizations of different sizes. So that's something we're hearing loud and clear from you. We've looked at some of that with our soft simplification, looked at some of that with the ability to select different size customers as we run through, and this is something that we'll continue to consider as we go forward. So I think that has answered the questions that we have so far. I don't think any more have come in from what I can see here. So again, what I'd like to do is to say thank you for me, basically, for the feedback that you've provided, and basically for taking part in this session. I'm just going to leave you with a couple of quick resources that you might find useful. So again, call to action. So from a resourcing perspective, place to get SOF is skypeoperationsframework.com, and then to access this training or pass on the training to colleagues, basically. So we will post the recorded training. We also provide for all of our training materials a little sort of document icon that you can click to copy the link. So if you found this training useful, you want to share it with other people in the organization, you can get the link to the individual trainings from our Academy page and send them an email, and folks can come along, register, and access that training as well. So from my perspective, I will now hand it back to the event organizers and say thank you very much for taking the time to spend with us this afternoon or morning, and hope that you've found this useful. Look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you, Lester. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude today's web conference. Attendees may access the web conference recording by a link that will be delivered within 72 hours post-conference. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenter, Lester Hewitt, and thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today.